Now we head back out onto circuit. Of course, for those wondering, we've just written in the live chat on the YouTube channel that the rescheduled order will now be as follows. DD2 and Masters, which are up next. Let's take you through the starting grid for that one. After the pre-final earlier on today, Tom Bracken starts from pole position. Nicolas Picot will be alongside. Maxime Dirix and his teammate from Shepherd's Racing, Nicolas Guillaume, Unamas, is lining up on row number two. Enzo Boll and Carl Kleber will be on row 3 with Dominic Hummels, Ronald Billings, Yori Kleber and Morgan Riche. And hopefully Morgan Riche's front fairing will not go exit stage left off his kart. So the revised order will be DD2 and DD2 Masters, the final for day 1. Senior Heat 5, A versus C. Senior Heat 6, B versus D. And the Junior Rotax day 1 final will conclude the racing action. The drivers now go onto their official formation lap ahead of 15 minutes, plus 1 lap of racing. So the lights have gone out for the DD2 and Masters final on day 1, and Nicolas Picot gets a great launch ahead of Tom Bracken as they make their way through into turn number 3 on the opening lap. Morgan Riche already making up 3 positions. So up to 7th place goes the 2021 DD2 Masters Grand Finals champion. One of a handful of drivers that actually have gone on to qualify for the Grand Finals, like a certain man who is here this weekend. Martin van Leeuwen, I'm looking at you right now. I see you are on the ladder just over the start-finish straight. Both those drivers in the same year went on to compete in the Golden Trophy and then went on to the Grand Finals later on that year to take the global title. Good racing between Nicolas Guillaume, who's up into 3rd place. He's ahead of Enzo Boll, and it's an the SP Motorsport meet in terms of the Sheepers Racing sandwich that's just been created. That's 3rd to 5th overall. Nicolas Picot leading the way. Tom Bracken in 2nd, but leads in DD2. Picot leading in the Masters class. And to turn number 4, and into the left at 5. Through into the in-section. Nice little straight in the middle of the circuit, which then puts him into another couple of successive left-handers before this right-hand style complex. Through into the chicane, where they will be bumping over the curves through the left-hand side as they carry the speed through. And there's Maxime Dirix up the inside of Enzo Boll. They're going to be wheel to wheel, side pod to side pod. Again, Maxime Dirix looks for the crossover on the 404 from the Netherlands, but not able to do so as they're going to be coming across the line to complete the 2nd lap of racing. Picot still leads. That's the squeeze put on to Maxime Dirix, going through into turn number 1 by Enzo Boll, but clearly not happy about that one. I'm sure that he's very right to say that. But Enzo Boll did definitely squeeze Maxime Dirix coming into turn number 1, and Morgan Riche just held back and waited and thought it was better not to get involved, because otherwise that could mean that he would have got an inadvertent penalty for the slices of transgressions. But now Maxime Dirix has got to refocus reset, and now go after Enzo Bolt for what is effectively third place. And there are the race leaders at the moment. Nicolas Picot in the 537, representing this very country, the nation of France. He's just over 0.2 of a second in front of Tom Bracken. Nicolas Guillaume sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's got a little bit of clean air between himself and Tom Bracken. Might also be getting the advantage of a little bit of slipstream from the 418 from SP Motorsport just up ahead. And Bracken just a little bit later on the brakes than Picot, showing a little bit of young bravado in the air. And now he's looking for the inside move into the hairpin at the top right-hand corner of the circuit. Manages to get through, but Picot, he's very, very experienced. And he will try and do everything in his power to get that race lead back. He might be one of the youngest DD2 Masters drivers around the global Rotax family, but don't count out Picot when it comes down to a race victory, because he will try and do his best. Maxime Dirix, fastest lap of the race, 56.929 by the 499 in fifth position. As Picot trying everything in his power to get through on Tom Bracken. The young challenger versus, well, the young challenger in DD2 versus the young challenger in DD2 Masters. I've never thought I'd say that in a month of Sundays, or Saturdays thereof, but great racecraft being showcased. Nicolas Guillaume is closing. The gap between the top three last time around after 4 laps was just over 0.4 of a second. This might be the smallest grid in terms of total numbers, but there has been some fantastic racing all the way through the day so far, and it's set to continue here in this final. So Tom Bracken was just over 1/10 behind Picot, and he now leads by just over 2/10. We're on to lap number 6. Yuri Klebo gets past Dominic Hummels as the leaders make their way through into the first part of the infield section here at Ostricourt, the racing kart JPR circuit. Around 25 kilometers south of Lille in the northern part of France. And Maxime Dirix with another fastest lap of the race, 6/1000ths quicker than the race leader at the moment, Tom Bracken. So 56.918 from Maxime Dirix is the fastest lap so far, 56.924 by the race leader, Tom Bracken. And also with them, Morgan Riche has decided to jump into the under 57 second club. So someone's just kicked up the dust. Who was that? Was that Maxime Dirix? Might have been, but Morgan Riche was looking towards the outside of him through into turn 1. And Dirix goes defensive into turn number 3. Morgan Riche just stays behind him. Morgan Riche, when he made his comeback in 2021, he'd been out of a kart for 10 years. He'd been running his own team. He's mentored the likes of one of the drivers now that runs with VDS Boots and Racing in the Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS. A certain Mr. César Gazour, who was also competed in the Euro Trophy a couple of years ago, then went on to GTs, running in the FFSA GT4 Championship, then made the move to GT3 with the Santalok Junior team, one of the Audi Sport customer racing teams. But it's great to see Morgan back in a kart. Tom Bracken has now expanded his lead over Nicolas Picot to the tune of just over half a second, as we are close to 7 minutes of this 15-minute plus an additional lap race being concluded. Dominic Hummels has just dropped behind Karl Klebo, who's up to 8th. And the entire 10-strong field in this combined DD2 and DD2 Masters race covered by just under 11 seconds. But as we have seen so far this weekend, that even if you might have a 13 or a 15 minutes pre-final or a final, there's still going to be a lot to be undecided because we are writing how the racing is progressing as it goes along. So that is just, as I said earlier on, how unpredictable motorsport can be. You can have all your ducks in a row. You could have crossed every T, dotted every I, and everything being okay when the car goes through into the tram lines. You put the pedal down to the end of the tensile strength that the throttle cable will provide, and then it's more a case of managing the equipment. Mechanical sympathy is another key point in any form of motorsport, whether it be from karting right your way up to the top tier, like Formula One, like the World Endurance Championship, and other top-tier categories. But Tom Bracken seems to be very, very controlled at the moment. Maxime Drix, another fastest lap for the 4.99 from Belgium. He still is putting in the great laps at the moment, 56.455 at the moment. He's still holding up, well, he's still running in 5th place. He's about half a second ahead of Mogahish at the minute. I'll make that 1.1 seconds. So he's pulling away from Mogahish and he's trying to close in on Enzo Bol. Now, obviously, in this race, they have had a little bit of previous when it comes to close quarter combat. So across the line, go the field once again. Bracken continually extending his lead, but it was only by 1/100th because Nicolas Picot that particular occasion did a lap time that was just 1/100th of a second behind. So it's like literally 10 1,000ths behind the pace that Tom Bracken has been exercising in this particular race. But he was well over a 10th and a half off on the previous lap that was completed, which was lap number 9. However, Enzo Bol is closing in onto Nicolas Guillaume for that 3rd place. Maxime Drix not that far behind, and Enzo Bol just sort of like giving the signal to Maxime Drix, okay, right, let's go. Let's just go. We both know we've got the pace. Well, Drix has been setting the fastest laps out of anybody. And he's got a double toe coming down the start-finish straight. Bracken still leads after 11 laps. Under 4.5 minutes to go. And the DD2 and DD2 Masters chess game continues in earnest here in northern France. As Guillaume once again goes defensive. Keeps Enzo Bol at bay, but Enzo Bol being very, very wise at the moment. Measured head on young shoulders. So he will now have the, again, he's just piggy in the middle, so to speak. So if you do make a decision that you're wanting to attack, you've also got to counteract that thought with the thought of having someone behind you. And it gives you that opportunity to think of, do I attack or do I defend? And now Maxime Drix looks for the move up the inside of Enzo Bol. They make a little bit of contact, and they both, at the same time, gesticulate at each other. Well, there's no love lost there between the pair, but the fact of the matter is that okay, Enzo Bol is thinking, well, I've got to really exercise a little bit of damage limitation on this first day because my chief rival is my teammate and he is leading this race. And I'm one position behind of where I really, really want to be. Well, I'd like to be leading the race. However, that is not what is happening at the moment. So we are winding down with the final 2 minutes and 10 seconds, plus an additional lap of this first final on day one here for DD2 and DD2 Masters. Tom Bracken has just been calmly expanding the gap between himself and our DD2 Masters points leader, who just so happens to be leading the classification in this opening final of the weekend. France's Nicolas Picot in the 5.37. Nicolas Guillaume still very, very well done to him. He's resolutely holding on to that third place position in the final throes of what has been, at some points there's been a couple of moments, but it hasn't been drastic to the point where we have had a decimation of the field. So the battle for third, fourth and fifth effectively is the battle for second in the DD2 classification. Nicolas Guillaume, I think, might be picking up his highest race result of the season so far. And for those wondering about the Uno Mas nickname, well, if you want, for those in the paddock, ask Maxime directly. He will tell you exactly what it is. But all I'm going to say is, trip to Ibiza, enough said. And they got the stickers put on the kart as well, which is even funnier. But we're coming down to the final throws. There's going to be 2 more laps to go because Tom Bracken crosses the line to start the 16th and penultimate lap of this race. His lead now of DD2 Masters class winner, class leader at the moment, soon to be class winner, is Nicolas Picot. But Nicolas Guillaume coming under pressure in the final dying moments of this race. Enzo Bol wants that third position, which gives him second in terms of the classification for DD2. But he's got time fast running out. It's not on his side because it is the case that every second counts. You leave no stone unturned. And the timer has hit has now hit 0. 1 more lap remains. And Tom Bracken will now come out of the final corner and start the final lap of their race day. Picot leading the way in Masters. Guillaume fending off nobly against Enzo Bol. Enzo Bol not able to close up in enough. Coming into the opening couple of turns, now into the right-hand hairpin here at turn number 3. But Enzo Bol is about a kart length and a half behind the 444. So they're going to the next double left. Into the next couple of right-hand corners. The train really, really being prominent here at this particular moment as they go to the far part of the circuit. Into the final major hairpin on the track. But there is your race leader, Tom Bracken. As soon as he hit the front, he did not look back and he's out of the final corner. Tom Bracken wins the final for DD2. DD2 Masters, it's Nicolas Picot who wins in that class, finishing second ahead of Nicolas Guillaume, who celebrates coming across the line for a well-deserved P3 overall that makes it second in DD2, his best finish of the year so far. So well done to him. Enzo Bol 4th, 5th Maxime Dirix. After a little bit of contretemps between him and Bol, Morgan Riche finishes in 6th position, second in DD2 Masters, ahead of the son, finishing ahead of the father. Jordi Kleber and Karl Kleber ran at the top 8, with Dominic Hummels and Ronald Billings completing the 10 finishers, all completing 17 laps of racing.